What
exercise.
time?
Pardon?
What time?
Megan, what time?
Graduation, if everybody's down for 7, half 7.
Yeah, but
to start the testimonials.
Yeah, you're going to be asked to give a testimonial. Say that word again?
Graduation.
No, that's not what you just
situation.
said. Huh?
What did
You
I
said
say?
graduation.
Oh.
See, we're going to find the person who talks that way, sooner or later. And then you'll be able to talk to Klaus and ask him questions, etc. Then we'll, of course, have dinner and then drinks afterwards. There's nothing off the table with Klaus. I mean, you can ask him whatever you want. What he answers, I'm not guaranteeing that, but there's no questions off the table. Whether he answers you the way you want him to answer you or not, that's up to him. But Klaus Kleinfeld is a pretty candid guy. He's a pretty straight shooter. I think I had some of that comes from my training after all these years. But we're going to get the role playing and my two sides of the role playing, which is me both trying to convince somebody to do something, and then me being on the other side, and we'll, in addition to your own additional role playing. One thing that's really important, Sally wanted to know how come that you were drinking at lunch today. And she got panicked because I teased her. I said, they're drinking your good Chardonnay and champagne that you have for tonight at graduation dinner. She comes storming out. I couldn't even keep up with her on the way to the kitchen. When I finally got to the kitchen, she was talking to Megan, and she wanted to know, what was being consumed, not her prize stuff that she's saving for you tonight. And then I said, it's just one of the English pissheads. See, a hair of the dog. And then they said, well, he didn't have a hair of the dog. And they said, why was he drinking then? And I said, you'll have to ask him. But in the old days, like I told you earlier, we drank every day at lunch. And we got through it. I mean, it's the French drink every day at all the meals. And are the French any better than us? Of course not. So, but Sally was in a bit of a panic mode. It was kind of funny when she cornered Megan in the kitchen, the big kitchen, and wanted to know what they were drinking. She looked at the bottles. And of course, I continued to egg her on, even though I knew they weren't drinking that special stuff. And she wanted to look at the bottles and see exactly what you guys were drinking. Now, what did I tell you to remind me of?
Perceptiveness.
Okay. Earlier today, and for the pundits on YouTube, and because we're filming this for posterity, so when aliens uncork my time capsule in 10 million years, and they see that we have had you laminated with gold or whatever you do to make sure that the thing lasts forever, kind of categorize, what makes me the way I am. And there were some questions that were asked earlier in the day about why I am the way I am. And one of the things that we said, mentioned, or I mentioned to her about perception, and I'm perceived to be a certain way. And a lot of discussion has been around, do I talk this way to regular folk, or when I'm in the public eye, etc.? And the answer is yes, I do. And I use bad words. Now, when I'm giving the commencement speech, which is on YouTube, some 20 years ago, I don't think I used fuck or shit or anything like that. But I did. I used some rough language, but I mean, it was toned down. So my answer to that is I use it where I think it's going to get the maximum effective use, and where the perception of it is going to be the highest. Because what I try to do, and I'm very successful at, is trying to make things as succinct as possible. I like to talk, as Sally would say, my wife. I like to talk, and more than most. But I know when not to talk and when to shut up. And when they say yes to me, I say thank you very much. I get up and go to the door when I've gotten somebody to agree with me, or I've sold something. And so the perception, I want the perception to be of the highest value. And most times that's with the fewest amount of words. And sometimes it's with vulgarity. And I've said in this forum not just now, but I believe in the last seminar I gave here at the Castle in October, that not that I'm a great fan of Vice President Biden, and not that he's dumb. I don't think he's dumb, and I don't think he's that smart. He's just a lawyer politician. And lawyer politicians say what they need to say to get elected and reelected, and President Obama is a classic example of that. But on TV, in front of 40-some million people, sometime last year, he turned to President Obama and said, "This is a big fucking deal," while he still had his mic on. Now, I mean, the liberal news media didn't make a big deal of it, but the conservative news media made a big deal of it because they said, you know, that it was an affront, and it wasn't. I didn't think it was so much of an affront. But what it did portray is that people do use those words, and I don't use them to be extraordinarily crass, although sometimes they come out that way. And I said at the beginning of this seminar, I'm going to say some things that will embarrass you. I'm not trying to embarrass you on purpose, but I will. I'm going to say some things that will affront you. I'm not trying to affront you on purpose. But what I'm trying to do is give you a real view of the real world and how it exists. And I've had the privilege of being around a lot of high performance people. From Lyman Lemnitzer, who was the Supreme Allied Commander of NATO when I was there. These many, many years ago. Many of you weren't even born back in the middle 60s when I was there. I heard President Nixon use bad words. I've heard a lot of people use bad words. The only person I haven't ever heard use a bad word is the Pope. And I firmly believe with all my heart the Pope uses bad language too. It may not be as bad as mine, but I can't believe that he got to be 76 years old, the new Pope, without saying a bad word or two, especially since he's from South America, especially since I believe he's from Argentina, and especially since he dances the tango, you know, and he's got one lung.
And he's an Italian.
Yeah, and he must have said, "Why me? What the fuck? Why do I only have one lung?" He must have said. He must have said at one point in his life.
It's human.
Pardon?
It's human.
Yeah, he's human, and so the human frailties that I show are maybe a little more human, but my biggest strength, and one of my biggest strengths, is I'm perceived to be strong because I am strong. And the perception is that I've gotten away with using foul language all my life. And you try to make it sound nicer than it was from a human resource point of view, and I teased you about it. But people think that, they believe it's real. And it is real. I'm not going out of my way when I beat up Chip. I'm not going out of my way. I'm doing it so I'm trying to make the maximum effective use of my time and his time so I get him to change and move a little bit down towards this end of the continuum where he used to be down at this end of the continuum. And the truth of the matter is it's worked. He's a much better manager today. He's a much better entrepreneur today. I don't know if he's a much better human being today. I'm not here to judge him like that. You know, I beat up, he doesn't like being called Bob, Bavarian Bob, for the same reason. I'm trying to get him towards my end of the continuum because I know he'll be more effective. And everybody here, I do the same. Even Father George, who I slap around, and not many people slap around priests. And I don't know if I'm better at slapping around priests than I am regular people. But everybody deserves to get fucking slapped around from time to time.
Yes.
That's the goddamn bottom line. And that's life. And if you don't understand that, like some people in this room don't understand it, like Christina, they wind up having a harder time dealing with life. Life's tough. Life's not easy. Now, I don't believe that life's a shit sandwich and every day you take another bite. But it's certainly down there. And if we don't understand that, we can't put QLA into practice, and we can't make our lives better for ourselves and our families. Because no matter what you might think of the bad words I use in this room, everybody wants to make their life better for their family. I've never met a son of a bitch that didn't want to make a better life for their family. Even the old Punjabi general here, he wants to make a better life for his family, otherwise he wouldn't be here. So I want you to understand that. I'm not going out of my way. And I'll swear around Dr. Klaus Kleinfeld, who'll be here in a little bit, who's the CEO and chairman of Alcoa, and the former CEO of Siemens, who's been my mentee for many, many years. He will probably answer, and I'm not putting words in Klaus's mouth. I would never do that. But when you ask him, what's the real fucking deal with Peña, I'll be interested, and you talking to him in a little German, a little Bremen, Prussian German, it'll be interesting to see what he says. But he'll tell you he's known me a long, long time, and I've been this way, much to the chagrin of people from München, but it's effective. Are there any questions before we start in the pre-conclusion? Yes?
You mentioned that if you get a yes in a meeting, you just shut up and you get up.
I shut up and get up and haul ass and I'm gone. I say, thank you very much, Ricardo. Thank you, da-da-da-da-da. Sorry that I may have offended somebody. I probably wouldn't say that, but if I had really been aggressive, thank you very much, and our lawyers will be in touch and we'll memorialize it, and I'm gone.
And if you're in a lunch, how would you deal with that? Just get off
No,
the subject?
no. What I try to do at lunch is I don't ask for a conclusion during lunch. I try to get to the beef, if you will, at the end of lunch. Right. So I don't have to get up in the middle of lunch, because when you get a yes, and that's why you were at the meeting, that's all you want to hear. It's like for those of you that I'm sure remember when you were young and frivolous and you found a person of the opposite sex, and for some of you maybe the person of the same sex, and they said yes, you went to your hotel room. You didn't fuck around and talk about it for another 45 minutes so they could say no. So it's the same thing. What's your objective for having lunch? If your objective to having lunch is to get them to agree, then when you get the agreement, you leave. And that's why I try not to, my very best,
so you try to
the
get
end.
lunch.
But some of the times the guy says, Dan, I want to get this off my chest. I agree. Then I'll say, you know what? I'm only here because I wanted that yes and I got to go now. I pay for lunch and I leave.
Okay.
Okay? Any other questions? We're going to film this again. When I go back to get Klaus to bring him from the castle here, Megan, you come back and we're going to film again. Okay? Talk to you guys later.